of the GOP party in Arizona, Kelly Ward, wrote this in a fundraising email. And forgive me for repeating it, but she wrote, "Will stop gun grabber Mark Kelly dead in his tracks." What did you think when you read that?
Well, it's uncalled for. I think we could all do a better job being, careful with, the language we use.
Yeah.
It's very political. I think she had a, purpose behind saying that. I think we can all do better than this. I think it's not, there's no place for that in our political discourse. But that's outside of my control. As somebody who was an astronaut, I try to focus on things I have control over. And, I can't control what other people say.
Let me ask you something about gun control, because after your wife, Gabby, was shot, you both became advocates for gun control. But you're both gun owners still. What did you think of Beto O'Rourke saying, we're going to buy back your guns, we want to take your guns, your rifles, the AR-15s and those big rifles? What did you think of that?
Well, I'm a gun owner. I probably own more guns than your average Arizonan. I'm a strong supporter of the Second Amendment.
A lot.
About 10.
Do they all do different things?
It's pretty normal in Arizona.
And you know how to use those.
And I do. My first firearm is the one my dad gave me while I was in flight school. It's the gun I flew in combat with over Iraq. There are very common sense things we can do that most Americans support, most Arizonans support, like background checks for all gun sales, red flag laws, stronger domestic violence legislation. This issue often affects men and women differently.
Yeah.
And I think we should focus on those things.
Okay, so you don't really agree with Beto?
Not
on that point.
Yeah, not on that point.
Okay.
Yeah.
Captain Kelly, what's fascinating to me as a obviously lifelong Arizonan is that Arizona could turn blue this election cycle if you win. Kristen Sinema, our other senator, is a Democrat. She's very moderate, and I have been very pleasantly surprised by the way she's governed. But the DNC in Arizona is trying to censure her because they don't think that she is basically liberal enough. You are also, I think, a moderate, reasonable Democrat. Do you worry about the DNC in Arizona having the same impression of you?
Well, I always worry about both political parties trying to, make sure that the person gets elected, that they vote with them on every single thing. I think independence is so important. Independence from the political party.
You're speaking Abby's song.
Yes,
Yeah.
thank you. I feel like I'm alone on this, but I call them like the silent majority out there. As AOC calls us, we're meh. But we actually believe very strongly in our beliefs. They just might not be one extreme or the other.
That's right. That's right. And I think that's important. So I didn't think that was an appropriate thing to do. It actually didn't happen.
Yeah, it didn't happen. But what is happening, perhaps, is we hear the hot topic of the day is what about impeachment? We heard Nancy Pelosi finally saying we're going to open up an official inquiry. Your take?
Well, before I went into the Navy, I swore an oath to support and defend the Constitution of the United States.
Yeah.
President did that as well. I don't think it's a good idea to be having a conversation with a foreign leader about your political opponent.
Is it a high crime or misdemeanor?
Well, I think the rule of law is very important. I think the rule of law holds our democracy together. So I think it's serious. It should be investigated. I think this is going to take some time. There's a lot of details that are still going to come out. I didn't have an opportunity to read the transcript.
I have it here if you would like to.
I don't know if we have enough time. But I think this is serious, and we've got to work through the details, and it's a process.
Well, Captain Kelly, thank you so much for coming and joining us on The View. Come back before the election. I'm sure we're going to want to know more.
Thank you.
Thank you so much again, and all our love to Gabby.